Hey everybody, final thoughts time for Shackleton Base Journey to the Moon. And folks, first of all, let me put you on hold for a bit so that I can say to designers Fabio Lappiano and Astori Mangone, well done, gentlemen. I know the two of you worked together previously on Autobahn, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal. Who knew somebody could make a heavy, crunchy Euro pick up and deliver game that Jen and I would enjoy? And so now, the two of them working together again on subject matter I find very, very enticing. The idea of mankind, populating the moon as a next step as we explore the solar system is very, very cool as well. And while personally, I will be honest, the theme makes me a little sad. I can't fault it because it is a reality of our modern day world that the space race between nations is over. And now it's a space race between private corporations trying to capitalize on space. And, NASA and everybody else are just doing the best they can with these corporate, not takeovers, but not mergers, partnerships. And it loses something to say, oh yeah, why did we go to the moon? To build a casino. But hey, if that casino pays for scientific research that's going to get us to Mars or make all kinds of other breakthroughs, it's a necessary evil. It is the reality of our world, and I think Shackleton Base's theme is so spot on, so perfect, that it makes us reckon with what we've lost with the end of the classic space race and the way the world works. And not for nothing, it works great from a gameplay mechanisms point of view. This is a worker placement game, and what makes it stand out? There are so many worker placement games. Here's the deal. You have 3 different types of workers that you're going to have some combination of. You're going to get 18 workers over the course of the game, right? 6 and 6 and 6. 3 batches of 6 in the first, second, and third round. And you're going to draft for what combination of workers do you want. Engineers who are better at harvesting the building materials we need and then using them to actually build up the moon base. You've got the technicians who are really best suited for I'm thinking the scientists who work most closely with our corporate partners, which means they're the ones that can actually leverage the corporate modules that are on the lunar surface, or the ones who can actually trigger all the corporate bonus special actions and create big, huge cascading combo chains of things you can do. And then you've got the technicians who really keep the whole thing running, because that's your primary source of points, and it's also the way you get these big, massive projects done. And every time you play, you're going to have a big collection of them that will, depending on the order they come out, it can radically change what decisions you make. But what radically changes all decisions is which workers do you get? What are you going to be able to focus on? How important was it for you to finish that project? Well, then you better take the shuttle that has more scientists on it, or technicians on it, or what have you. Or, oh crap, I'm not going to be able to get any technicians this time. Well, all right, I better pivot on to more building. I better grab those engineers if I can. Or you unlock all kinds of special powers. So the fact that each worker has 3 completely different actions it can do: harvest stuff from the surface, or build various and sundry things, and each of them has 2 completely different things it can do in those 2 different arenas. Or if you're not going to be efficient, they can do inefficient versions of the other stuff. Or if you just don't have a good use for this worker at all, hey, if nothing else, they can be converted into different workers that have a whole different purpose of starting to fill up spaces on your board to increase your income and special powers in various ways. So you can convert astronauts who you can't use now for worker placement into end of round or mid game or end of game bonuses that you can leverage. So there's always interesting things to do, and you're always torn. You always want to do all of these things every step of the way. And the game is so challenging with how to do it. And then that just describes the base game. And you know what? The game I have set up, you saw me where I was working to go to the moon, I was working for space tourism, and I was working for robots on the moon. You could play this game a dozen different times and and feel like it's a fresh and new experience every time because of the order of events, the way things come out, the different types of workers that you get access to, the way the board expands, and I think that's a really wonderful thing too. Shades of Fabio Lapiano's previous game, Merv, where hey, depending on what people build, there's an area control element to it, but it's also me building things that gives you opportunities to do things as well. And heck, I mean, even going further back to, oh yeah, here we go. So I mean, it's stuff we've seen from them before, but then you throw in the pièce de résistance, the cherry on top, the fact that every time you play, there are 7 different industries, and you're going to get a different combination of 3 of them. And I'm not saying these are so asymmetric that they're like factions in Root or something like that. These don't fundamentally make you play a different game, but they make you everything I just talked about, all the tough choices you're making about how to deploy your workers and what you're going to focus on, the fact that different things take on different values. Hey, if we're going to Mars, instead of building on the moon surface, I can build on the Mars surface and get completely different rewards for building. And still the same rewards for being able to put people to work. So that is going to be a radically different thing. But then there's another one, the greenery, which you didn't see me play, where, hey, instead of building our modules on the board, which gives us more place to put people to work on our own boards, how about we build greenhouses that don't clear up space, and it's something a totally different mode for what it's like to build on the surface. And these all really make not, again, game changers, but they are subtly distinct enough that every time you play and you get a different combination of these 3 things, it's going to really force you to reevaluate how you approach the game. And I love that. And that is the secret sauce that really elevates this. I think when this becomes more widely available, this, Fabio Lapiano and Nestor Mangoni, this might go down as your greatest design of all time. The 2 of you working together, or either from both of your works. Ragusa, that was the one I was thinking about previously from Fabio. And by that, I said Nestor. Does that mean I'm saying it's better than Darwin's Journey? I think so. I think this is absolutely phenomenal. My only real problems with it are, kind of a refrain you hear from me a lot, as much as I respect everything about this. One, the area control nature of the game. I mentioned it can be very positive, interaction between players because, players are building on top of what others have done and all of that. But there can be some aggressive stuff too. This is not just a few victory points here and there that we're trying to snag away by having the most modules in a given row. This is actual workers that will provide us income for the rest of the game, special powers, all kinds of stuff. And if I thought I was banking everything for my second decade of the game of getting that last scientist so I could install them in the workshop, but then at the last possible minute, you sweep in and build another module that suddenly means you've got the majority, or the majority is a tie break, but it breaks in front of you because you're in front of me, and then you snag that scientist away. You could do, that's not so bad. Hey, I don't mind. Well, then you'll use a scientist. But there have been moves where it made sense for me to do that, knowing I wouldn't get that scientist at all because I didn't have room for them. I was just doing it to ensure you couldn't get the scientist. So that is something that a care bearer like me and Jen has to bear in mind. If you are really paying attention to the domination of the crater, you can make some moves that are almost the equivalent of the classic Agricola. You know what? I don't have an oven, but I'm going to go ahead and take all those sheep because I know how badly you want them. And if I take them, hey, there's 6 sheep you can't have, and all your plans go away. Oh, and then I let them go because I couldn't do anything with them. So I think for some players, that's going to be awesome sauce that you can really play an aggressive game there. But it is something that is not necessarily as great for me and Jen. And, that's too bad. It's not the game's fault. It's totally us. And then the other issue, which is not a problem for me, but this is one of those games that my wife found, my wife, who, by the way, is a better gamer than me, who wins the majority of the games that she and I play, and honestly, who I think is smarter in her day-to-day life, she still found this to be a bit overwhelming. And I understand that. It's something you gotta bear in mind. When you first set this thing up, there are 6 different cards from 3 different corporations. All these corporations do introduce different rules and make you have to reevaluate how you look at everything. And it can be overwhelming. There are so many ways that you can just squeeze, just one more little bonus thing out of this turn that will let you trigger these other things and whatnot, but you've got to make sure everything is in perfect balance. And so it does. There is a lot of mental load with this game. It is up there in Vita Lasarda territory. And that, for my wife, she found it to be a little overwhelming. Me, I love it. I love this kind of stuff. But for her, as somebody who is particularly analysis paralysis prone, having to run through all the computations to know, right, here's what I'm going to do with these next 3 workers. And it's going to be that and that and that, and it's all going to add up, and it's going to trigger all these cascading bonuses and whatnot. But then I go and, I just did a build. I'm like, what are you doing? Now it costs 1 more to build, and all of my calculations are gone, and now I got to start grinding again. So it is a game of tight, narrow margins that really rewards in-depth, long-term planning, knowing that planning can be, you might have to pivot on a dime, even in a 2-player game. That's normally something you have to be a bit more tactical in a higher player count game because so much changes. But even in a 2-player game, so much can change, but with only one other player making a move before it comes back to you. So while heck, you can watch the run through and see how much I'm enjoying myself, but it is a lot. And I'll admit, this was one of the tougher run throughs I've done in quite a while. It was very difficult for me to keep mine and Jen's separate strategies going on. And so that's something you need to know going in as well. Another thing, it is an 18-turn game, right? You're going to get 18, workers. Over 3 shuttle blasts. And that is a little on the long side. It's not the end of the world, because certainly it's very engrossing the entire time. Me, I would have liked maybe more of a 15-turn game. Fabio, what happened to Zapotec? Where are we going to get more, really rich, crunchy games of that length rather than, this kind of more standard, 2-ish hour game that seems to be where medium and heavyweight Euros live these days. Personally, again, I've said before, I'll say it again, I'd love to see a Terraforming Mars prelude that means, and we're only going to play through 2 decades instead of the full 3 decades. Or maybe we only take 5 astronauts off every shuttle we get. And so we're doing 15 turns instead of 18 turns. Because even 3 less turns, for me and Jen, that's an extra half an hour. Those last few turns of that last round when everything comes down to the wire and you're trying to get those last few jobs done and all of it. It's brilliant. And also, I cannot stress enough. I mentioned the rulebook. It is brilliantly presented. The rulebook is great. Every little persnickety rule, and there are a few of them, are very well represented on the board. You are reminded, hey, don't forget this bonus when you do this. Hey, don't forget this extra cost when you do that. It's all there. I really have to doff my cap to whoever did the graphic design for this game. That's not something I often do shout-outs for, but it is very deserved here. And that's it, folks. I think that is Jen's and my take on Shackleton Base. And thank you very much for watching. Have a very nice day. Talk to you later. So long. Bye. Bye.